is a former federal prosecutor. Right now, he is the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, David Weiss has been working on this case now for 5 years. What more could we possibly learn that we didn't find out in those first 5 years of investigations? And does it make a difference if he is the special counsel as opposed to the U.S. attorney?
Well, it does make a difference, and the differences are as follows. First, he can only be fired for a good cause, and we know that Republicans don't like him, even though he was appointed by former President Donald Trump. So if it's Trump or DeSantis or another Republican who retakes the White House, I can see them trying to fire David Weiss, and now they're going to have at least a little bit more difficult of a hurdle to do so. They'll have to establish good cause. The other big difference is now he can investigate crimes outside of the District of Delaware. He has jurisdiction in the entire country. So there were some allegations made by Republicans that the U.S. attorneys in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles, where I live, stonewalled or interfered with the investigation. So now that he has special counsel status, that removes any jurisdictional hurdles in investigating Hunter Biden.
Neama, the old phrase is equal justice under the law. Is Hunter Biden getting better preferential treatment, or is he getting harsher treatment because he is the president's son?
Del, he got a very good deal. I can tell you that diversion offers in federal court are virtually unheard of, and you rarely see no-time misdemeanor deals. Now, he did cooperate, and he's got a great lawyer, but I really question the lawyer, Clark, who really blew up this deal. It was a very good deal, and I think they got greedy. They wanted a deal that covers any and all federal investigations, and they wanted a judge to play a role in overseeing the deal, which is not appropriate. That's a separation of powers issue. So I think Hunter Biden's lawyer really regrets the deal that he really tore up in court, and I'm sure they're going to try to get something back on the record, and certainly well before the election, because if there's a new U.S. attorney, then Hunter Biden may be looking at jail time.
Merrick Garland saying today that extraordinary circumstances led to his decision to appoint a special counsel. Any idea what those special circumstances might be?
Well, Hunter Biden is the president's son, and whenever there's that sort of potential conflict of interest, a special counsel is appropriate. I think the reason Merrick Garland, didn't appoint a special counsel until now was David Weiss was a holdover appointment. They said, well, look, this is Trump's U.S. attorney. We think he should continue the investigation. But when it was clear that the deal wasn't going to happen a couple weeks ago, and the investigation would continue, and there might be a different offer or additional charges, now special counsel status is indeed appropriate.
So let's just put it into the category of no one is happy. Republicans doubling down on their claims the Justice Department has been weaponized. They were actually quick to commend today's appointment. This is the former Vice President Mike Pence.
I think it's about time that we saw the appointment of a special counsel to get to the bottom of not only what Hunter Biden was doing, but what the Biden family was doing. The American people deserve answers, and I welcome the appointment.
But then you heard that criticism from Jim Comer and also Jim Jordan of Ohio. So there is a belief that this is not going to be what they are looking for. So it almost fits into the category of damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Well, it does, Del, but I think it really is appropriate. I agree with former President Mike Pence. You have someone who's independent. He's been with the Department of Justice a long time. Again, he's a Trump appointee. I understand that there's some saber rattling in Congress and, folks who, support the House Oversight Committee, and members of that committee want Hunter Biden to be really held accountable for his actions. And, there is that perception that David Weiss is soft, but ultimately there's not a whole lot that Congress can do. This is exclusively an executive branch decision. This prosecutorial discretion is truly within the DOJ. And I think Merrick Garland did the right thing finally when the deal wasn't going to happen, when we weren't going to have an early resolution. There's a possibility that this case goes to trial, to really give David Weiss that special counsel status, make sure he's independent and separate from the rest of the DOJ.
Neama, if this case goes to trial, it would be in Delaware. Do you want to be the attorney basically prosecuting a Biden in Delaware?
Well, I think there's a lot of prosecutors that would like to have that type of case. This is a career-making case, a high-profile case, and I think the people that don't want the case to go to trial are Hunter Biden's lawyers. You had a plea deal in hand that would have essentially given Hunter a walk really, no time as long as he obeys all laws with that, and then, a misdemeanor. So again, these types of deals, they're really unheard of no time deals. So you had this bird in the hand, you got a little bit too greedy. So I think if the case goes to trial, there's going to be plenty of prosecutors that want to try the case. It's a very winnable case for the prosecution, but certainly not one for the defense.
So let me ask this bottom line question. Is this about Hunter Biden, or is this about the President of the United States? Because if it's about Hunter Biden, there is a comparison to basically what happened with regards to Jared Kushner and Ivanka while they were actually part of the White House staff doing business deals with the Saudis. And there's also the possibility that at the end of his term, even if he winds up being a one-term president, he can pardon his son.
Well, yeah, it's about both. And obviously, the Republicans can't prosecute Joe Biden. That's well established. No sitting president can be charged or prosecuted. So this is probably the next best thing for Republicans that don't like Joe Biden. But like you said, Del, Biden can always pardon his son. He's said publicly that he's not going to. But that calculus may change if Hunter's looking at significant time in federal prison. This is really not a serious offense he's been charged with so far. But if he's charged with felonies, he's looking at federal prison time. And especially if Biden loses the general election and he's a lame duck president, I could easily see him wanting to save his son and pardoning him on the way out.
Neama Rahmani, our former federal prosecutor, also now the president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. There were also developments today in connection with the trial